Hello and welcome to Primetime Pastimes, the podcast where we talk to people in the wrestling space about their passions outside of wrestling. I'm one of your hosts, Steve, along with my other host, Gav. Say hello, Gav.
Hello.
There he is. Will our guest today turn this podcast upside down? Well, stranger things have happened. I'd like to introduce to you Mr. RP Davis. How are you doing, sir?
Good. What a great segue that was. How you got into that. Very good. Very good.
Do you approve?
I'm good, thank you, mate. I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. So before we talk about today's topic, what we like to do is to have about 10 minutes worth of wrestling. This is not a wrestling podcast, but we do like to sort of talk a little bit about how you got into wrestling. I know yours is a very, very unique story. So firstly, talk us through how you got into wrestling and what your initial experiences were.
I was, believe it or not, I was a boxer. It's been said anyway. Apparently, I was for over 10 years, and then I retired from boxing. I had a year of doing nothing, and then I thought I need to get back in shape, or else I'm going to start resembling a boxing glove rather than a boxer. So luckily I had a friend of mine who ran a professional wrestling company called Grand Pro Wrestling in Wigan, which you know very well, Steve. And he contacted me and out of the blue, actually, and said, would I ever be interested in pro wrestling? And he knew I liked wrestling because when I used to box, I used to come down to wrestlers' entrance themes. That was like sort of my nod to my mates in the crowd. And so he asked me whether I fancied wrestling, and then after a bit of cajoling and whatnot, I agreed to do it. I thought it'd be an exciting one-time thing that I could say that I've wrestled, and I was always been a big fan of it. And I did it once for GPW, and I fell in love with it. And here we are, 7 years later, and there's no sign of me stopping yet.
I think I've told you this before, but I'm not sure. Do you know that I was in the crowd when you debuted?
I think you may have mentioned that. Yeah, I think you may have mentioned. Yeah.
Because Grand Pro Wrestling is the place that I used to watch as a fan, and I specifically remember you teaming up with Luke Jacobs as well in one match, and that's when I really saw something in you. Thought, this lad's got it.
Well, thank you, pal. Yeah.
Ever mention it?
Yeah, it was. Sorry, mate. Go on.
No, you go on. Sorry.
No, I was going to say no. I got. You just mentioned it then, though. I got very, very much looked after by Johnny when I got into GPW because the first match you saw me wrestling there, I think I'd had about 6 months training in total, like from starting to actually the match. I think top 6 months. It was like some sessions in my boxing ring, my gym I've got with Johnny, and then literally kind of thrown into the deep end, but. But you just said it then, you mentioned Luke Jacobs. He was in, I think, my third match. He was a tag team partner of mine. And the guy before that was Mickey Barnes. He was my opponent. We all know Mickey. But we're talking about top professionals, and this is sort of the thing that helped me so much. Like, they really did hold my hand, especially through that first year. And they made me look a lot better than I was, you know what I mean? And so it was a real learning curve, learning from guys like that. Like, I've got so much time and respect for Mickey. He was a big part of my own training and development very, very early on. And somehow he made my first 2 matches look relatively good. Even looking back now, they still hold up. So, yeah, that's all down to Mickey. And so... yeah, I've been looked after by Johnny and the people, like you say, professional wrestlers there who know the job.
And it's nice to see that you've still got this thing with Mickey as well, because obviously you've wrestled him at PCW, you've wrestled him at other events, including back at Grand Pro Wrestling. It's nice that you're still having those callbacks with him, and the great matches.
Yeah, well, I just think. You can get lucky sometimes, and I think I definitely got lucky with him as my first opponent because we've got, in my opinion, really, really good chemistry, and it just kind of works. And I think that obviously that's down to a lot of his brilliance, really. But he's the perfect sort of especially for my character that we've developed over time, this ex-boxer stroke sort of underdog fighting from underneath. He's the perfect sort of folly for me, giant. He's a giant of a man. Like I say, brilliant at his job, great with the crowd. Everything about Mickey kind of screams, sort of Rocky Thunderlips, if you will. And that's why I think it works.
The hair.
Great villain. Every time he's on, he's such a good villain.
Oh, he's brilliant. He's brilliant.
He is. One of my absolute faves.
My opinion, the best super heavyweight in all of Britain, I think.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the credit I don't think he sometimes deserves.
Yeah, well, I've been backstage, not to make this about Mickey, but I've been backstage where we've had some quite important people backstage. And one of the first things that people say is, have you seen Mickey Barnes work? One of the best big men in the country. And it's just great to see so many people sort of bigging him up. Anyway, it's not Mickey. I'm not going to go on and on about him. So what was your relationship like to wrestling before you actually got into it? Did you watch it as a kid?
Yeah, I've watched it. It's one of my first memories, really. When I was a kid, I liked superheroes. So Spider-Man and Batman and Superman were like the three first ones that I knew of, and then obviously became a big Hulk fan and stuff like that as I grew up. But I think, and I always say this, you see me wrestle as well, Steve. I always, majority of the time, I wrestle for family crowds. That's my sort of where I think my area of expertise, and that's why I actually prefer to wrestle in front of. I like a family crowd. I like the mixture of adults and kids. I think it adds a sort of different atmosphere and dynamic to it. But going back to what we were talking about, the reason I say that is because when I was a kid, the closest thing to superheroes in real life that I could watch were Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, and characters like that, Macho Man Randy Savage and stuff like that. So when I found wrestling very, very early in my life, and I had those, the old toys with the arms that didn't move, they kind of move like that. You're
specifically talking about the Hulk Hogan one, aren't you? The Hasbro Hulk Hogan.
Remember, it's like these are the first memories in my life, and they were the things that I kind of immediately grew up gravitating towards, fighting and superheroes and that sort of combat, with the splash of sort of theatricality to it as well that you get in superheroes and wrestling.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've seen you mix the two together. Obviously, you've talked about the Hulk, but you're starting to wearing a lot of Punisher inspired gear recently.
He is my favourite as I've grown up, and now I'm a man. He's my favourite superhero. He's not a superhero, but he is to everybody else. But he's the one who always interests me. When I was a kid, it was Spider-Man, and I still love Spider-Man, and I love their sort of innocence of a Spider-Man as well for kids and everything like that. But as I got older, I think that happens to a lot of people reading comics, because I read a lot of comics and stuff. I started to obviously read a lot of Batman, and Batman's darker, and then you start spawning off then into. I found I quite like the darker characters more than the the cleanest clean baby faces, if you will, in thingy. So I started
the anti-heroes.
Yeah, I liked Wolverine, and I liked Daredevil, and I liked who else can I think off the top of my head? I'll go blank now. But Punisher and the sort of vigilantes but with like a bit more of a darker edge to them. I like Spawn actually, which was quite an adult comic, but there was a lot of different things I liked, but Punisher for whatever reason, and probably as well because of sort of his popularity in terms of films as I grew up. They brought the film out with there was the Dolph Lundgren one.
Lundgren one, yeah,
years ago, which actually is nowhere near as bad as people say. It's pretty.
Great film.
It's pretty decent. And then they brought out the Thomas Jane one, which I'm a fan of. I like Thomas Jane's one. I do like it. Like it's a little bit camp at points, but like I did like it. I thought obviously Travolta's a little bit over the top in it, but I liked that one. And then they did Warzone, and I was a big fan of that with Stevenson.
Ray Stevenson, yeah.
Really good at it, really good at it. And then obviously, in the last, I don't know how many years it'd be, but 10 years, I don't know, they brought out, obviously,
with Jay Berthanel.
He came into Daredevil season 2, and then his own 2 series, and now he's going to be appearing in he appeared in the new Daredevil, but he's going to appear in the new Spider-Man, and it was, for me, I don't know. I always had a bit of a connection to him, and then when you say in regards to my wrestling gear, it isn't because I like the Punisher. I wear his gear. I just thought there's similarities to his character that I can sort of tie into my character, and this sort of combat athlete, sort of fighter character. I thought there was stuff that I could sort of draw from there, and that's where that's come from.
Definitely working for you, sir. What time have we got left? Are we all out of wrestling chat now? Because I feel like we've got to be close to that.
Whatever.
2 minutes. We're all right.
As long as you want.
Oh.
As long as you want.
Well, let's move on, because I feel like that's gone to a natural conclusion. So, yes, of course, today we are talking about the Duffer Brothers' Stranger Things. Before I talk fully about this, I wanted to put a little bit of a disclaimer out there, saying there's been a lot of negativity over the finale, because as we're doing this recording, it's a few days after the finale took place. I don't want to get bogged down in negativity. That there is sort of a rumor going around that there's going to be an additional episode. I personally don't think that's going to be the case. But what I'll say is, if it is the case, and there is another episode that springs out of nowhere, we will circle back to this, and we will get on for another few minutes and talk about that. But for the time being, we're going to talk about the series as a whole, try and focus on the positives, what we all enjoyed, etc. And here is a few facts about Stranger Things. Inspired by the Montauk Project conspiracy, a theory that alleges the US government, based out of Camp Hero in Montauk, USA, did secret experiments during the Cold War involving kids, mind control, similar to MK psychological testing, and time travel, with some even suggesting it has got links to the Philadelphia experiments. If you don't know what any of that is, it's well worth a Google. The original version of Stranger Things was actually even called Montauk, and was going to be set in the town at one point. Dustin, Max, and Lucas all knew each other prior to the show, because they were actually Broadway kids working on such shows as Les Mis, Annie, and The Lion King. The urge to sing a Lion King is always just a whim away. The group chat is called Stranger Tech. Hopper's hat was something David Harbour insisted on as an homage to Indiana Jones, and whilst most people know that Steve Harrington was supposed to be killed off in season 1, maybe you might not know that Bob, the boyfriend of Joyce in season 2, was actually also supposed to be killed off much, much sooner than he was going to be, than he ended up being rather, by Will whilst he was possessed. But they dropped that plot point because they all just fell in love with Sean Astin. And as a Goonies fan, I totally agree. So, those are the facts out of the way. When did you first watch Stranger Things, Ryan? Did you watch it from the get-go, or was it something you came into later?
From the get-go, 10 years ago. It's just under 9, isn't it? It's just under 10 now, so it's 9 3/4 or something. But I was 28 when I started watching that, so I was still boxing, and wrestling wasn't even in the mind at that time of what could be. But I started watching it when it first came out. Because if you remember, did you watch it when it first come out, Steve? Yeah,
I watched it when it first came out.
Yeah.
I'm an 80s retro person. I'm a kid of the 80s, so I watch anything that comes out.
If you remember, it was like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this is how I remember it. 10 years ago, it was obviously looked interesting, the trailers and everything, but no one really knew what it was about or what they just sort of like. You said it before, and obviously that's why they used him in the show. But it looked a bit like the Goonies sort of thing, but with like a bit of a sci-fi twist on it. And we didn't really know what it was all about. And who'd have thought that show that I watched just on a whim, like you said. It come on Netflix, and I thought I'll give it a go. Would it be?
I think it was a lot of it was nostalgia because I don't know if you know this, but when they all did their auditions, they auditioned in Stand By Me, so they did scenes from Stand By Me, which is very much evoking that 1980s style.
Yeah.
So I think it was very purposeful. But yeah, the fact that it was from the 80s hooked me from the start, and I had no idea what it was about.
Well, it's a bit again. I think that's definitely a massive sort of. It's been something they've sort of gone off, but like you said, then the Goonies and Stand By Me and something like that. And even ironically now, I think the original it was a bit like obviously that's come back into prominence now because obviously the It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 are now Welcome to Derry, which is quite. I mean, have you watched that as well? That's good.
I have.
That's like a darker, obviously a bit more adult. Well, it is more adult orientated, but
quite a fine line, but it is more serious.
Yeah. And but I do think that was an original sort of tribute to it and the Losers Club sort of thing. That's what it reminded me of.
Very much so.
That's probably what drew me in, I imagine, because I was a kid. As a kid, I watched the Tim Curry It, and I like that. So that's how it started for me. And then I've watched every season. I love the first season. Didn't have a clue what to expect. Loved the first season, and then watched every season since, and it's obviously just become a bit of a juggernaut in that time. I think it blew up that first season. Then every season since then has become. I'm not saying better, but bigger, and
the stakes have always grown.
Yeah, culturally bigger as well. Like everyone knew when the second season was coming out. It was established, and then the third season, in effect, it's become really, I would say, Netflix's sort of flagship show. Yeah. I think nearly everybody would think of Netflix would think Stranger Things now. But I've enjoyed every season. By the way, every season. So.
I was going to ask this a little bit later on, but as you brought it up, there has been an escalation there, and some people say that it's been quite detrimental to it because the stakes have grown and grown and grown. Yeah. But I, like you, have pretty much liked every season. There's just been little elements that I've not liked. What is your favourite season, and what made that your favourite season?
Well, this is. I mean, if I had to, I'll give you a good boxing reference as well here.
Please do.
I liked season 1 is my favourite. Season 1 is I thought season 1, if it finished on season 1, was just a brilliant show and really, really good. But then obviously, like everything, it made money and they wanted to carry it on then, and I've enjoyed every season since. My other favourite season is 4, which is completely different to 1. Like we're talking different, almost different. Same characters, but 1 is a blockbuster movie and 1 is a bit more of a small independent thing. And it reminds me a bit of like Rocky. So
open for that reference because that's exactly where my brain went.
Yeah, so it's true. Like if you ask me what my favourite Rocky film is, my favourite Rocky film is 1. 1 is the best. 1 is the best film. It's critically the best film and the most
is the proper blockbuster, isn't it?
It's the most realistic one, the first one. That he doesn't win, he draws, and all that sort of stuff. And it could potentially happen. I mean, Rocky 3 and 4 are just Rocky 1 on acid, aren't they? But unbelievably entertaining, and that's what especially series 3 and 4 reminds me of. 2 was quite serious too. 2, but it was like sort of a middle ground 2, but because they'd established like the Mind Flayer then and everything. But 3 and 4 were a lot more colourful, weren't they? And
the soundtrack and
action,
everything was pumped up a little bit more. And
but I've loved every season, but I thought 4. I remember watching 4 and being blown away by it because I didn't know whether I'd start to wane by series. When 4 came out, I don't know how excited I was for it because I thought, where can we go now that the Mind Flayer's dead or whatever? and then they introduced Vecna, which again I didn't. When I saw like the promos leading up to it, I thought, God, who's this guy? You know, why they bring in like a humanoid into it, sort of thing. Because I like the Mind Flayer as a villain so much, but I just think Vecna's been a great addition to the show as a whole. And then obviously when you watch that fourth season, the way it develops, and then it circles back to the connection that he has with Eleven, and that she's known him, and that he is like that episode. That episode is one of my favourite episodes of Stranger Things when it's all revealed that he
when you find out the tattoo and everything
tattoo on Vecna. That was the best episodes they've ever done. That
I agree with you completely about 1 and 4, because those are mine as well. What I like is the 80s callbacks, and Series 4 was very much a callback to Nightmare on Elm Street. Series 2 was a callback to Aliens in many ways. So I like the callback, and Nightmare on Elm Street is one of my favourite film series of all time. So I love the fact that you got Freddy Krueger in there as well, which was brilliant. So every season has introduced its own sort of supplemental character, often to be killed off, like Bob, but then you get people like Max, etc. As the season has grown, who has been your favourite additional character?
Oh, God. Who died?
Not necessarily they died, just someone that wasn't in the core people at the beginning.
I can't count Steve, can I? Because I love Steve.
He was in the first one, but I understand why you'd say him, because his character's great.
Yeah, he joined the team, didn't he? Later on, he was a bit.
I think, like you say, I think Steve was meant to die. Maybe
He was
scripted to die, and then obviously became popular, and they've kept him. But I did like Eddie. We're going back to season 4. I thought Eddie was great, and obviously he's made a big name for himself off the back of it. Now he's made a life now, really, because he's going to be in all the new Avengers films, and he's done really. He'll be a star going forward. Who else did I like? I liked Bob. Bob was great.
Bob was great.
Who did we have in 3?
I think actually my favourite is the pilot.
Who?
Oh
yeah, really.
What's his name?
Yeah,
Yuri.
Yeah, I think he's my favourite comedy relief sort of. He breaks it up a little bit.
I loved, and again that's a bit of a reference to the 80s again. I loved the big Russian that they had who was like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was like
T2.
Like Terminator, wasn't he? That was sort of same haircut, T-Move Terminator. But I thought that worked again. You know,
I agree.
It reminded me again a bit of like a Bond thing as well. Like if Hopper was Bond, he was the Jaws to him. You know what I mean? Like it was. But they do this all purposely, don't they? Everything is purposely done. You know.
Yeah, and it's great callbacks, and they try to. We all love Vecna, I think, based on this Vecna/Henry/1. But they tried to do something with Billy, and I don't think that worked anywhere near as much. Max's stepbrother Billy. What was your thoughts on him?
I liked him. I mean, I thought he was going to be a really big star. I mean, he did Power Rangers, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
I think that tanked him, to be honest. But I can't say I've ever watched it. I haven't watched Power Rangers.
It was okay.
I haven't watched
fine.
it. I watched it when I was a kid. The old Mighty Morphin, but I haven't watched this one. But yeah, I thought it was very, very good. Very, very good Billy in it. But he sort of come to his natural conclusion, didn't he? He did season 2 and then 3.
Very much so, yeah.
Kind of had his redemption arc, didn't he? At the end of 3. Because
have you ever heard of the phrase fridging?
Go on, no.
So fridging is when you purposely kill off a character just for the development of another. Basically, they say that we've just put that character in the fridge just to help out somebody else. They often do it when they kill off female leads or girlfriends, like in Deadpool when they briefly killed off his girlfriend just so he could develop as a character. So I think he got fridged for Max. I think a lot of it. He was just there to develop Max, I think. That's my own opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought he played 100% probably, but because a lot of season 4 and Vecna sort of infecting Max is because she's dealing with that sort of PTSD about Billy. But I thought he was very good. I thought it was because he was an arsehole, weren't he, in the first
line.
He was horrible, a bully, and
80s manipulator.
Yeah, and all that sort of stuff. But by the end, he sort of showed a bit of a tragic story to him, how he'd like lost his mum, and it showed him. Remember when 11 goes into his mind and she's on the beach with his mum? That's the memory he's got when he was a kid. And then at the end, he sort of sacrifices himself, doesn't he? He jumps in front of the mind flayer to like. It was. It was good. I thought Billy was a good character. He was a good character. But Eddie.
It's funny. Is that your answer, Eddie?
Eddie Munson's my favourite. Yeah, I thought he was great.
Just what I was going to say then about Billy. I thought we were going to get a similar thing, with Victor Creel not Victor Creel, Henry Creel, and slash Vecna, because I thought they were going to try and redeem him at the end.
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, I'm with
you.
A
bit of a turn.
I'm so glad they didn't though. I'm so
glad. Too.
I'm so because I honestly thought because it would have been a rehash as well of the Billy story a little bit. Yeah. I thought they were going to try and humanize him, and then I had there was a lot of theories going into that finale that in the end it'd be Henry stroke Vecna versus Henry stroke Vecna 11 and
against the Flair and a big team up. Yeah, I was worried that was going to happen. I must admit.
but me personally, you said before about there's been a bit of backlash to the finale. I'll jump ahead there. I loved the finale. I thought it was brilliant. I genuinely thought it was brilliant. I thought it kind of tied up as much as it could in 2 hours. For a series that had gone on for 4 seasons, 5 seasons.
5 seasons, yeah.
It was hard to tie everything up in I know they've had so long to do it, but in the 2 hour episode, how did they do it? But one of the best decisions I thought they made was the fact that they doubled down on him being evil because
I agree.
Sometimes it's good. It's like it would be like trying to humanize Michael Myers. Like it would ruin it. It would ruin it. Or humanize Freddy Krueger. It ruins it. It's much better that he wasn't like just an unwilling participant in it. Because otherwise, like then you feel sorry for him. Like the mind flayer's too. It turned out it was a bit like Venom, wasn't it? In the end, he actually said, "We are one," and that was a line as well. We are one because he is one, and you know what I mean. But I like that. That was one of my favorite bits was that they doubled down on him being a sort of working with the mind flayer rather than just being under control.
I'm not taking away anything you just said because I do agree. I think you can't please everybody. But one thing that did sort of do my head in a little bit was I forgot Joyce was even in the upside down, the abyss. When she finally kills him at the end, I'd forgotten she was even there. I thought they should have done far more with her lobbing his head off. It was good, but I don't know about you. Did you forget she was there too?
I think it was just one of them things like the mother gets her own back in the end kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with.
Again, I know what you mean. It was almost like, I mean, she didn't do loads in this season, did she? Really, in general. But I think she was there simply for that last bit because I think it made. But when you think about it, of all the only other person who could have done it was maybe Will. But really, season 1 is about. It's about Will, but it's actually the main character. Really, is Winona Ryder, isn't it? It started out actually I think it was sort of her comeback as well, wasn't it? Stranger Things 1, and so it kind of. I thought again. This is what I'm saying about the finale. That's why I liked it. Even that bit that tied a little bow because it started about her. Everyone saying she's crazy that her son's dead and she won't get over it, and she starts putting the lights up and all that sort of stuff, and it ultimately she pays that off 5 seasons later by killing the person who did all this to everybody but her.
Yep.
And I'm all for that. I'd have just liked a couple more scenes with her. because to show that she was actually there.
Yeah, maybe. Again, I think one of the, I know we're not talking about bad points, but like one of the harder bits for them, or I suppose it is a bad point, is the cast became so big.
Oh, so massive.
This is of the problem. Like in season 1, it was so much smaller, and so you only had to get round maybe Hopper and Winona Ryder, and then the 4 kids, if you, because Will wasn't even in it really. He was off camera most of the time, and so you only had to get around Dustin and Lucas and 11 and got Will. No, not Will. Who's the other one? Got on my head. Mike.
Dustin, Will, Mike. Yeah.
So they were really sort of the core of the show, and then you had the side characters. Whereas in that last episode, like, God, there must have been like, is this 15 main characters by the end of it? 16. And they're trying to hit every point. They keep flashing back to Hopper's at one point in the Upside Down. You've got them in the, is it Dimension X or whatever, and then
forget what they call it.
They're trying to do right by every character, which is almost impossible by that point.
It's totally impossible. I think everyone's going to have something to gripe about it, because I mean, we all love the show, and even we have found little points to sort of moan about a little bit. But yeah, it's difficult to sort of service as many fans as you've got there, and I think generally speaking, on that point, they did okay. One of the big sort of talking points is the Will and Mike relationship, and whether or not they should have ultimately got together. Where do you stand on that?
I'm glad they didn't, and that's not. Obviously, you have to be so careful when you say stuff like this, but because then you get accused of like being homophobic. Not at all. Like I love the Robin. One of my favourite parts of season 3 was Robin, and that whole, how it made you think she was going to go to Steve, and then
I love that.
Well, it was brilliant. I thought it was brilliant, and I have enjoyed the storyline of Will because of this sort of unrequited love that he's had for his mate. But again, I don't know if you all guys feel the same way. I think it would have felt so unearned if it just.
I 100% agree. For me, I'll just give you my 2 cents in case you want to jump on that. I think for me, he has been madly. He being Mike has been madly in love with Elle right from the start, and it's been one-sided from Mike, in my opinion. And I think unrequited love, it's such a powerful statement. So I think they made the right decision.
I think what they maybe were guilty of doing is extending it further than it needed to go. Like the storyline, it's gone on for 5 seasons, and maybe if they wanted to nip it in the bud, they could have done. But then you start looking at ratings and how do they draw bigger audiences in and whatever, and maybe that was something to do with it. I don't know, but I do think. Like I say, from the very first episode, it's established really Mike and 11. Even though the kids, it's established that them two like each other from like episode 1. It's straight away, and it's always been sort of like the central theme or love theme, or central romance of the whole show, really. And Mike is always Will has always been there, which is important. But it would have just, like I said, there was nothing ever that there's nothing I saw that come back from Mike that would have made that sort of that's where it was always going. It always seemed.
I agree. So it's one-sided.
He always seemed like he was a bit awkward about it, and more importantly, if it had happened in the last episode, what a lot of people wanted to happen, how bad does that look on 11? Do you know what I mean? So for that to happen. Like in the very final episode, basically the hero of the story gets left for nothing and heartbroken. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's, I understand. We'll talk about what happens to her later on, but what I'm saying is, I just don't think that is there's nothing heroic about that for her. It's just a sad ending for her. You know what I mean?
And I think the character development of will come into terms with his feelings and then getting strength out of that without having the need for a partner, I think is really, really good personally. And I think it should have been done a little bit earlier. But then
they could have done that in probably end of season 4. They could have probably,
or even earlier. But I mean, if we had have done that, then we wouldn't have got the great scene at the end of volume 1 of the last season where he finds his power potentially, or we might have had to rework that,
which was brilliant. Again, like. And this is where now we'll delve into conspiracy lane. This is where we'll delve because
let's go.
I'm not sure that something isn't coming out tomorrow night. I'm not sure, and this is from someone who loved the finale. I thought it was great ending. I thought it was a brilliant ending. And if nothing happens tomorrow, fine, because I'm quite happy because the ending was decent to me. But I've read that much stuff over that makes so much sense. Like if it is a coincidence, wow! I mean, there is so much, and it would maybe iron out a few things. Like, for example, I wasn't a big fan of the coming out scene for Will because I don't understand what relevance it has even now. Now, even though it's over, I don't understand the relevance of it because they didn't even. I think if that was so important, why didn't they do a thing with Vecna in his mind, telling everyone a bit like they would have done with Freddy Krueger or something, where I'm going to tell everybody and I'm going to, your secret. I know your secret. All that, a bit like they did with Pennywise in.
Welcome to Derry, and
that's what he did, and it was horrible. It was a horrible, bullying, nasty thing to do to somebody, and that was I forget his character's name, but it was guy played by Madden, weren't it?
I can't remember.
Got on there, but anyway, the comedian he played it. But my point being is, I just thought it's sort of the way they did it. Like they did it as this big scene where everybody is in a room, and most of them he'd never done a scene with Steve before.
No,
they've never spoken.
The whole show, obviously they talk about stuff like and of course you have to understand that things happen off screen, and obviously during the summers and whatever they've met and whatever. But I just felt like it was for nothing really at the end because it had no real payoff after.
I agree. I don't think it had a payoff either.
After the I think they could have made it really good. I think they could have made it a bit more like It, where it was a central plot line, and he was scared of people finding out, and Vecna threatened him that he was going to come out, and then he did this brave thing of telling everybody. To stop that from being a fear anymore, that would have been really good. But the way they did it wasn't like that. He said of a conversation we never saw that Vecna told me he's going to do that. It wasn't. There was no sort of stakes to it. I didn't think. But and if it had paid off in the last episode, I would have got it. And this is why I'm going back to Conspiracy Lane because that is a vital component of if this 9th episode is real, because if this 9th episode is real, then they haven't got anything. That scene is brilliant. Everything I'm saying is wrong. That if that 9th episode is real and this is all in Mike's mind, the last 4 episodes, then wow, that is incredible.
Well, one of the things I've read is that they think obviously the last episode is Vecna fooling them all into believing this happened.
Yeah.
And they're all in the...
There is a lot, honestly. Because like I say, when they first started talking about it on Twitter, because Twitter is a cesspool anyway. But
it really is.
It's a cesspool. It's a cesspool. But sadly, I spend a lot of time on it because I promote the wrestling on whatever, And it come up because your feed's just... It's got algorithms in it, so anything I like, Stranger Things starts coming up, and then it starts talking about this. What do they call it? What's it called?
Montauk?
No, something gate.
Oh, I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, it's the convolution gate or something.
Convolution gate, or whatever.
I can't remember.
Whatever
it is.
Starts coming up, and I thought, what a load of rubbish. That's just a load of people who aren't happy with the ending, moaning about it. And that's genuinely how I saw it until I started reading stuff. And then I start reading stuff, and I go, yeah, that did happen. And yeah, that did happen. And why are they all stood with their arms like this? And why?
I'll just say, if it does happen, we will definitely come back to it. I personally don't think it's going to happen.
Elle didn't have a tattoo on her wrist, and
why have they all got the same haircut at the end?
Yeah, it is weird, isn't it?
It's the 80s.
He's never wore glasses in any season, and now always got glasses on, and he looks like his dad, which he didn't want to look like his dad. And Nancy looks like a mum, and she didn't want to be like a mum. And there's so much. There is. The more you read about it, and you think, where's this going, sort of thing. And the reason I'm quite excited about it is, like I say, it might not happen. And tomorrow, this could all be proven complete rubbish, and just internet rubbish. But if so, what a coincidence, because there's that many of them. There's at least 50 things. 50.
Or it could be just a making of episode, is what they're saying it is.
Possibly. But, I mean, even the way that the final scene of when Elle disappears or dies or whatever, and then the cut to the epilogue where it's all the the big the finish for everybody, where it goes 2 years ahead. In that black screen, in between that 2 second black screen, you hear the clock go.
Yeah, you do.
You hear the clock go and the drone, and then it comes on. And that's weird. I mean, why would they put that in? But there's so much. But the reason I'm a bit excited about it is because if it doesn't happen, I'm very happy with how Stranger Things ended. Like, I really liked it, and it's been a great show.
But do you believe?
That was my next question. Do you believe?
Well, we'll get to that. Well, we'll find out that tomorrow. But no, the reason I'm excited about it is because if it is real, although I loved the finale, that's never been done before, and that makes it really exciting, because then you'd remember that. Like, that would be... If they
did, a very clever thing.
And don't get me wrong, they have the ability to do it and ruin everything that I liked about the first... The finish, or what we think is the finish. They might do things... They might go a completely different direction with it, which I... won't disagree with, but I've enjoyed how it went. So it could go that way. But I just think with the sort of themes of the show and the idea of the show, and distorting reality and all that sort of stuff, it would be so clever if that's what they did.
Do you remember the Fighting Fantasy books when you were a kid, and you literally read a chapter, then you go to another chapter for a different ending, but then obviously if you go back, you have like 3 or 4
choose your own ending.
Yeah,
I think that
it's
could
like
be.
That. It's like
everyone's happy.
I wish I had a list. I can't do it because I haven't got my phone now. But the amount of things that are odd about that last season, when that last episode, that you don't notice when you're watching it, but now when people have stopped it and got over it all and studied it, it's like, I don't know if you noticed this. Apparently, I've just read as well before that when Robin comes into the DJ booth at the end, like when she starts talking at the beginning of the epilogue, the discs behind her, right, and this is what I mean, unbelievable, are set out in Morse code, right? They are set out in Morse code, and they are actually set out in Morse code, like they've drawn them, so it's all there. It's all there. So that's what I mean. If it's a coincidence, it's unbelievable. And it says, "I am still here."
Right. There's just one thing I want to say real quick on this. I feel like, are you aware of The Shining and all the conspiracy theories that have got about The Shining? Right?
Yeah, I love The Shining. One of my favourites.
There's a documentary on it on Amazon, I think, and it's one of the best documentaries. It's almost twice the length of the actual film itself. I think you'll get a kick out of that because it's fascinating.
Is that about the jumper? It's
about the space thing. It's about everything.
I have fallen down a rabbit hole. I'm aware of it.
Good.
I'm fully engaged, and to be honest, I will go to sleep tonight only thinking about waking up tomorrow to see what happens. But
You have not fallen. You have jumped down the rabbit hole and dug further.
Well, they're actually saying they've related a lot of the last episode to Alice in Wonderland because even Holly's dressed like Alice in Wonderland.
There's so much. There is so much. Like, I laughed at it until I read about it, and I've spent obviously the last few days completely obsessed by reading about it. But it's just, it's definitely worth at least a look into. And if nothing happens tomorrow, again, no skin off.
I think it might if it doesn't happen tomorrow in the future. I've got a funny feeling we're going to get something's going to happen with an alternate ending with the way it's blown up.
Twitter will be. I said it was a cesspool. It will be an absolute cesspool tomorrow if nothing happens.
Yeah,
it will go. It will go balmy because there's thousands of them talking about it. But I won't personally be bothered because, as I say, I did enjoy the finale. But I just think to make it maybe the best finale of any show ever, this is like it's sort of like a magic trick, isn't it? It's like the ultimate twist, the ultimate plot twist.
The switcheroo.
So it's interesting anyway. We shall see. We shall see.
We shall see. We mentioned Holly, and we've not talked about her at all. One of the nicest little things that I watched in the final season was her dynamic with Max. And at the end, when you talk about all the weird things, she's coloured her hair in the same colour as Max as well. Yeah. And I like that little dynamic. So one thing that Stranger Things does really, really, really well is teaming up random characters together. Yeah. What is your favourite team up?
Oh, it's got to be Steve and Dustin, hasn't it? It has got to be Steve.
Got to be.
1 second. My daughter's just saying good night. 1 second. Good night.
Good night.
Love you. Love you. She likes Stranger Things too. I'm not allowed to say that, but she does watch it with me. She does. I
gave her a comic once.
Yeah, she loves it. I know she loves it. She loves it. She loves stuff like that. She's like me in that way.
So, Dustin and Steve. Anybody else other than Dustin and Steve? Because I mean, that's kind of like everyone's, isn't it?
Max and Holly was good.
Max and Holly was great.
Holly was good. I think Hopper and what is his name? When that made
Yuri.
Not Yuri. Not Yuri. Is it Yuri?
Murray. No. Yuri was the. Murray. You're thinking of the Murray. Yeah. I loved Murray in that.
Hopper and Murray are great together. I liked Murray and the you talk about random characters, the random Russian scientist.
Yes.
He died, and I was gutted because they made this little bromance and started.
Yeah.
And then it all come apart. I thought that was great. The Terminator got him, didn't he? At the fair.
I'd love to have seen what happened. Talking about the Terminators, I think Nancy is one of the best character developments of the series. Really? She's very, very meat, and then she's practically Rambo at the end, killing more people than Hopper.
Yeah.
Get all the guns, everything.
All the guns, and then she becomes a reporter at the end.
Well, I saw someone wrote on like one of these things the other day, like why is she Rambo, and all that, but it's
80s Sarah Connor thing, isn't it? It's
but
it is become the strong ones,
and also it literally shows her training as with guns and that from season 1. Like it kind of shows
an escalation.
Yeah, it does, and all that happens is she just gets more and more involved as it goes on, But she was one of the best characters.
I agree.
One of my favorites.
Do you think she has got the most character developments of everyone? Because a lot of people go through a lot of changes in that show. Who's your top sort of most developed characters by the end, or people that have changed the most by the end?
Probably is Nance for me.
Yeah, Nancy was good, and I think Steve. I think that's why he's such a character, because he started out basically as the bullying jock, and then he ends up really as like the big brother to them all, doesn't he?
Very much so. Yeah. Babysitter.
He's like the dad of the group, isn't he? By the end of it. But again, sorry to go on to another. You just made me think again. So go back.
That's okay.
why is he a baseball? Why is he a baseball coach?
Yeah, that annoyed me too.
He's a basketball player. Why is he a baseball coach?
Right, I'm going to defend the show a little bit here because he's obviously some form of baseball person because he
I thought he was American football.
No, he was basketball.
Basketball, didn't he?
Basketball.
But he uses a baseball bat all the time. Now, I think that baseball bat was Jonathan's, so I don't think it was his specifically. But I think the thing associated with Steve more than anything is him holding that baseball bat with the nails in it. So I think that's possibly why. But yeah, it really annoyed me that he wasn't a basketball guy.
That is definitely why. But the only person who saw him with a baseball bat was Vecna. And there we go. Now we're getting to because he doesn't know about him. There's no idea about him apart from what he's seen. So the only thing he's seen is with this baseball. But anyway, that's another thing.
I just spent 15 minutes trying to get away from that.
We'll stop there. We'll stop on that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You take it wherever you want to go, sir. So we've talked about Elle. Did she die? Did she survive? Do you believe what's going on?
I think she's alive.
I think she's alive because regardless of what happens tomorrow, I think she's alive because Netflix don't want her. They want an option to make a film or a
spin-off or something,
down the line. And even if the original script was for her to, just disappear when the gate closes, when she blows up the Upside Down. I think they maybe they did add that scene in. They filmed that scene in Iceland or whatever. The most recent, that was after they did wrap shooting on the show. And is that because Netflix have said, listen, you've got to give them some hope of so we've got an option at least going forward. Because she's got a different contract, hasn't she, Millie Bobby Brown, to everybody else? They're all paid.
Well, I think because she was supposed to be killed off in the first episode, the first season, but then they had to renegotiate when she came back. Is what I believe, but don't hold me to that.
She doesn't have to come back at all now, does she?
She is tied to Netflix. Is Millie Bobby Brown?
Because she does the Sherlock Holmes stuff as well.
Yeah, and she did that one. Damsel or whatever it is, where she's the.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
She does. She's got like an exclusive contract to Netflix, where the others haven't. They've got an exclusive contract to the Duffer Brothers. You know what I mean? To the show rather than directly Netflix. But yeah, I think she is alive for that reason. But this is what I'm saying about the ending. Away from all that, that's like real life stuff that we're overthinking. We know how money works, but in terms of the story, I like ambiguity. That's one of the things I liked about it because I didn't want a just lovely happy ending because it'd already been a bit tame. No one died or anything. And
no big deaths.
I'm not one of these people who think loads of people should die. I've seen loads of people. Steve should have died. And thinking, it was never Game of Thrones, that show. It was about a group of kids. You don't have to kill off loads of people for it to be important. But the way it left me is it killed the main character off and then give you hope that maybe he didn't. So in a way, I kind of would think that she died, but then the story allowed her to, him being the storyteller, Mike, he got to at least put a way for him to cope with her, because then that goes off what Hopper said as well about you've got to move forward and all that sort of thing.
I very much am in that camp. I feel like it's a story to help his development. But the only thing is, they do have a point. How was she projecting into his mind when those weird government things were on?
No nosebleed.
Yeah, no nosebleed. Yeah.
Again, there's a lot. There's a lot of things, isn't there? There is a lot of things.
Obviously, what's the?
How would the illusion still be running if she was
exactly that
blown up in the building and
then they said, well, she didn't die from the gunshot, but she would have died when the bomb went off. So,
but then they think Elle had her blood, because obviously in one of the seasons Vecna got power from Elle's blood.
Yeah.
She got the illusion power from
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
all that. It's all.
It could be that.
It's just Nightmare on Elm Street 4, the Dream Warriors, guys.
Yeah.
The Dream Master.
But I think, like you said though, I think Nightmare on Elm Street has been a massive sort of inspiration to them, hasn't it? Really,
especially in later seasons.
Even Vecna's look looks like Freddy to an extent, but I think they've definitely took stuff from it and thought, that works. And
no, I agree. So another big thing that I want to ask you, and this is we're playing Booker to the show now. So there's ambiguity over Elle's death. Obviously, we've made a conclusion there. There's some other characters that never got a conclusion at all. So I'm going to give you a couple of characters, and I want you to determine what should have happened to those characters. So totally you. You're the showrunner for now. So Dr. K, Linda Hamilton, did not get an ending. What do you think her ending should be?
What do I think her ending? Because people were annoyed about that, weren't they? Linda Hamilton, because I love Linda Hamilton. Who doesn't love Linda Hamilton? And obviously the Terminator references and whatnot. And they're saying, like, what was the point of a character? Well, the point of a character really was because Brenner was dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the problem is they picked such a big star for that role that they expected more of it. Do you understand what I mean? Because she was such a big name in sci-fi, I think they expected like a real big reveal of something, that she was somebody's mum or I don't know, something like that. But I think all she really was the new Brenner to carry on the storyline of the government trying to find 11 and reproduce him again, And so I would say her story just carries on, continuing to look for people of powers. Obviously, they believe 11's dead, and so that's probably where they think it's gone. So maybe look to reproduce more, and then maybe when we talked about them making a spin-off, maybe she'll come into that. Who knows?
Into Montauk, the leader of Montauk.
Montauk, yeah. Well, you said Montauk.
Never know.
It was inspiration. Well, that's where he's going, isn't it? Or apparently going.
Well, let's talk about someone else. Dr. Owens. So if you don't know who that is the guy that was introduced in season 2 as the nice sort of head of the underground thing. What do we think? What happened to that gentleman? Because we last saw him in season 4.
He's getting interrogated, when we last saw him.
Yeah, and interrogated just before Elle blows up the helicopter. So what happened to that gentleman?
Probably arrested by the government for meddling or getting involved. I would imagine.
A sad end.
Yes.
Sad end.
Yeah.
Nurse Vicky, Robin's girlfriend. We didn't see her in the finale. Did they make it?
No, I don't think they did. I think it was Vicky's and Robbie. I think it was both of them, wasn't it? It was their first relationship, and it's 2 years later. And I think it was just like sort of the first, like we all do. We all have a first crush and a first partner. I think that's what that was, and I think it just tried to distance that a little bit, without telling you, but distance that a little bit and make it more about Robin's friendship with the other 3 by that point, Then also bog that down with another relationship. I think it was just the start of a relationship in the end of season 5, and then that 2 years later, I think they split up.
Dusty Bun's girlfriend Susie Poo, who we haven't seen in a year.
Yeah, not seen her. They didn't give her an end, and I liked her. But again, I think they potentially could be together still because they're online and everything like that. But I think
you've got to decide, Ryan. It's on you.
I think they're still together. I think the reason they didn't show her in that season is because his whole arc was quite dark this year, and she isn't. And so I think it would have been a massive juxtaposition of the character to go from singing never-ending story and then
I think she rode off on Falcor.
And then talk about basically that him suffering from the loss of his friend and his fear of losing his best mate in Steve. It would have
push each other away.
it'd have been such a different sort of vibe, you know. I think she kind of had to be out of it because where do you go? And again, we said it before. How many characters are we're gonna service? Like even in this series, they introduced like I know Holly's been in it throughout, played by a different actress, but
yeah, but all her friends and everything.
Holly was brilliant in this season. The actor they got was amazing. But for me, they spent a little bit too much time. I understand that why because of the story, but they spent a little bit too much time on a completely new actress stroke character when they had all them other characters to service, you know. They could have I think they could have spent less time with her and still told the same story. But anyway, that's but we got Derek.
Okay.
We got Derek.
We did.
And he is the best thing that's ever happened to that show. And the best thing that's ever happened to planet Earth is Derek.
Well, I'm going to disagree with that. I think the best thing to ever happen to the show happened in season 4. We didn't see him since the end of season 4. One of the most important characters, Argyle the pizza guy.
Love Argyle the pizza guy. But again, where do you go with Argyle? Where do you go with him after everything he's done? You know, he lives in California. He makes pizzas. He's a cool guy. He's not going to move. He's not going to move to hell. To literally hell to be. I can imagine him just going back to California thinking I've had my fill of the fun there and I'll just get back to making pizzas and being a cool guy.
He had a thing with Susie Pooh's sister though, didn't he, as well? So maybe that's a way to end it for him.
Dating her. Yeah, I do. I think he's dating her. Yeah, I do.
Excellent. Right, well I think that pretty much wraps up everything with the exception of one final question for you in regards to Stranger Things. If you were to introduce Stranger Things to a new fan, what one scene would you say, watch this, this explains everything you need to know, this will get you invested?
Well, that's hard. What
yeah, it is.
To explain everything.
Not to explain everything, sorry, just to give you the general concept of the show and to get them invested, to want them coming for more.
Well, my two best scenes in the entire show were both in season 4. Mm-hmm. It was obviously the Max running away from Vecna.
Running up that hill.
To run up that hill. I think that's iconic. And I loved the finale of season 4 when they played it again, but with the Stranger Things tune. Because that's, again, I think the music's massively important to Stranger Things. I think it's made it what it is. But I thought that whole scene where Hopper fights the Demogorgon with a sword and 11 is just got rid of Vecna and Steve and Nancy and Robin are going up the stairs and they're trying to kill the body of him. I thought that to me was probably the best scene in terms of action and whatever that I'd seen in the whole show, and that's why I think I like season 4 so much. But them two scenes are the ones I think are the easiest watch to go. That's why it's ace. But you wouldn't really understand what's going on. So I don't think they explain what is going on. You know, it'd be quite jarring.
Okay. We just need to get these people invested. That's all it is. Gav, have you got any more questions?
No, don't think so.
Excellent. Right. Ryan, tell us where to find you on your socials.
On Twitter, I'm RPD Fighter. On Instagram, I'm RP Davis. And on the Facebook, I'm RP Davis again. I've got a page on there.
Fantastic. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. I've no doubt that we will talk about this again at some point if I see you at show.
Tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow if we get that additional scene. So I'm going to say goodbye and give you the final ever line of the show as a way for us to say goodbye as well. Girls don't fart. They do. It smells like roses. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.